Hello and welcome to episode 30 of the Imperfect Image podcast. My name is Jordan. I am solo this week. It is sad. I wish I wasn't so. And yet here we are. I'm just riffing this week. I got no fucking notes down. I got nothing to talk about. So let's just see what happens. I had 2 beers yesterday. I'm back a little bit on the beer train. Nothing crazy. Here and there. It's Valentine's today. Normally I'd have some wine or something like that, but with Lauren not drinking, being all pregnant and such, I don't know, doesn't seem overly appropriate. Maybe. Hey, no, you never know. You know what would be crazy? If she came home and my present was a bottle of wine. That would be fucking fantastic. I would love that. So if somehow this episode gets out and you listen to it on the way home and you think about it, that's what I want for Valentine's Day. Unless you have something better. And chances are you aren't going to listen to this today, if ever, but especially today. So I'm pretty much just talking to a computer at this point, which is weird, but that's kind of what we always do. You ever think about that? Like when you used to talk on a phone, it would kind of go somewhere. Now when you talk on a phone, you're basically talking to a computer that's recording your voice, sending it, bouncing off a satellite, going back to another computer that's then redigitizing your voice, and you're hearing it in your ear. Very fucked up. Anyways, I watched the Mr. Rogers documentary yesterday. I don't know what it's called, so as I'm talking about it, I'm going to look it up. Something like Won't You Be My Neighbor. Let's type that in. Won't you... Yeah, look at that. Fuck, I'm smart. 2018 film, Won't You Be My Neighbor. Mr. Rogers. Their director, anything of the sort. Directed by Morgan Neville. Box office, $22.6 million US. This was ridiculous. Like I knew of Mr. Rogers. I don't think I was ever a big Mr. Rogers guy. Like they focused at one point in this movie on how he really appreciated silence and things being slow. See, I think I'm such a scatterbrained sort of person, which I just talked about on my other podcast, Real Fitness for Real People. In a much more professional way, but I did talk about it. I was talking about how it's difficult for me to teach people sometimes because my brain is just all over the place. But in this regard, I don't think I liked Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood when I was a kid because it was so slow. Although, as they pointed out, that's actually one of the beautiful things about the show is he didn't need that bang bang action sort of thing, and they kept flipping to scenes of, Transformers and He-Man and She-Ra and Ninja Turtles and stuff, which was much more my jam, especially Ninja Turtles. Gave me my love for pizza. But I don't think I liked the slow and the quiet that was Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, even though that was probably what was actually teaching kids more than anything. So this initial release date was June 8th, 2018. I think Ashley reviewed it on this podcast. That shows how much I pay attention to my own podcast, but I'm pretty sure she did. This thing has 98% on Rotten Tomatoes, 8.5 out of 10 on IMDb, and I don't know why Google has this, but 5 out of 5 on Facebook. Fuck Facebook, who cares? Rotten Tomatoes, IMDb, don't look past that. And it's very well deserved. I don't know if there was a part of it that I wasn't just dead staring at the screen. Like it absorbed me, if you will, in a way that I really didn't expect to. I thought it'd be interesting, maybe hear a couple of stories about him, that sort of thing. I almost want to go back and watch the fucking show. Like, the documentary really spoke to me. It had portions where they focused on his life, definitely, how he got there, that sort of thing. But there was a lot of focus on some of the remarkable things that he insisted that they do on the show. And I think it really sums it up. There's 2 things. One, when 9/11 happened, he was devastated and did a show about it. Because why not? I think he did a whole week on it. At one point, he was doing week-long themes. And then the second thing that really hit me, and I think what was even cooler, was his policeman on the show was a black guy, an African-American guy, who not ended up, as far as I know, he was born that way, but being gay. So they didn't really touch on the gay thing much, but they really hit hard on the African American, the black thing, such as Mr. Rogers washing his feet in a little pool on a cold day and then inviting his friend to come wash his feet with him, which, you know, we kind of think, oh, people washing their feet together. But at the time, can you imagine a white man and a black man washing their feet in the same water and such? Like, it's just astounding, the types of things that he insisted that they tackle on the show. What happens when your parents get divorced? You know, what happens when a loved one dies? Things like that. Like, on a kid's show, and just to come out forthright and say those things and talk about the topics and still insist, you know, you're special the way you are. Everything is fine. Your parents will take care of you. The adults are here to teach you. You're here to be a kid. Stuff like that. It's just amazing how much of an impact he must have had on certain kids' lives. Not so much my life, but Jesus Christ, maybe it should have been. I don't know, the shows that I was watching seem like absolute bullshit at this point. So, Won't You Be My Neighbor? Check it out. It's on Netflix right now. I just kind of came upon it. I wasn't really thinking about it, but holy crap, like, you really, really need to check this one out. I'm looking back on my list in Netflix. I know I've been watching some other stuff. I'm trying to figure it out. We've been watching Orange is the New Black. Again, I would recommend that. Not something, I don't know. I don't know. It's not maybe my favorite show that's ever happened. Like, I kind of do it like this. Is it a show that if I never got to see it again, I would be very upset about? Or is it a show where I could finish this episode and kind of just be content with my life? Oh, yeah, I saw some of that. I don't need to finish it. You know, one thing that I really do want to finish in the next while, as funny as this is going to sound, is Star Trek The Next Generation. I started watching it. I was enjoying it. I don't know if I ever really gave it the credit that I should have. I just kind of skipped through, no big deal. But I'm going to have to get back and watch that one. Anyways, Orange is the New Black is one that's been entertaining. I'll enjoy it while it's on, but I'm not really stuck on right now. Another one that's on this continue watching list right now is called The Final Table. It's another cooking competition show, slightly different twist where they cook based on a country each episode, and then they have expert judges from that country come in. It's been neat so far. Again, if I never watched it again, probably wouldn't worry about it, but I do like sometimes just having a food show on in the background. Like that really pleases me. It's something that I can kind of numb out and watch. Like, some people, you know, maybe my wife, not saying anyone in particular, but can throw on something like Grey's Anatomy or This Is Us, and they can kind of, I don't know, maybe they don't numb out and watch it. I don't know. I don't see the appeal. But still, it's something that just can kind of be on. Some people put on like the those real estate shows and that kind of thing. I can't stand that stuff, and it drives me nuts. But food shows, 100%, like diners, drive-ins, and dives, I can throw that on any day, anytime, and I could literally sit there for hours. And I use literally in an appropriate way there, not like, oh my god, like I literally was sick. You weren't sick. Fuck off. Use literally properly. Outlander, still catching up on that. Finished season 2. Exciting. Plot's changing quite a bit now. Very cool. I think I talked about Conan Without Borders. If I didn't, dear Lord, watch that. And if you are a user of marijuana, please get baked before you watch it, because it's one of the funniest things I've seen in a very, 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 very long time. Even if you're not a user of marijuana, maybe have a drink. If you don't do either, just watch it. It's fantastic. Definitely up there in the best things I've seen in the last few years. Like, I can't say enough good things about it. It hits a lot of important political points, but it's just flat out funny at the same time. You know, you kind of get that, oh, and then ha ha ha, you know, that kind of thing. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah, we're connected here. One thing that I'm going to do here, so it's about 3:30 right now, I am very much considering watching The Incredibles 2 when I go downstairs after this. We'll see how long this episode is, but that is That is high on my list for things to check out in the next little while. What else do I have? Let's go with podcasts, things that I might be able to recommend to you. I kind of fell a little bit out of love with Doug Loves Movies in the last while. However, the last episode I just listened to, Joe DeRosa, Chris Cubis, and Adam Ray, I highly suggest. So that is and there's a reason that I have to do it this way, because his titles are not episode-based, they're date-based. So that's February 3rd, 2019. Definitely give that one a listen. If you haven't listened to that show previously, take a listen. That's an episode to start with. I thought it was hilarious. If you don't like that kind of stuff, fine, fuck it. I finished Wolverine: The Long Night, which is, funny enough, Wolverine being from Marvel. So it's a Marvel series, kind of like an audiobook, right? It's a mystery done in, 10 episodes? Yeah, 10 chapters. Each one is about, 25 minutes. Looks like the shortest one. 44 minutes is the longest one. And that's the last one, so it really has to sum up. There's actually a lot that happens in that last episode, so definitely give that a listen. Fantastic. Like, I was meh. Again, first maybe 4 or 5. I could take it or leave it. A couple of things happen after that. The mystery deepens. It's phenomenal. Like, just really, really well written. I didn't see the end coming. I'll say that. There's twists. I didn't even see the middle coming. There's twists in the middle that just baffled me. I thought I knew what was going to happen, being someone that's read the comics for my whole life. I had no fucking idea. I was completely wrong. So, again, Wolverine: The Long Night. If you just want something to put on in the car, that's a great way to do it. I think it would be a great one, too, that if you actually wanted to sit down and really pay attention to it, almost like you would watching a movie or something like that, that would be a great way to do it also. So something new, there's a podcast called Dining with D and K. So Doug, who does Doug Loves Movies, Doug Benson, I should say, has a few podcasts, and this one is Dining with D and K. So him and a lady named Karen Anderson basically go to a restaurant, sometimes with different guests, that sort of thing, and enjoy the food, talk about life. In the one I was listening to the other day, got to know the owner of the restaurant, kind of how the restaurant came to be. I think it's just a really neat idea for a podcast. It would be something that I would love to do in Calgary and Airdrie and the surrounding area, but I also don't like the idea of just kind of copying someone's podcast. However, what might be an interesting idea, if there's any friends that are listening, is to every once in a while do a live podcast with a few of us. Again, I would probably need different recording equipment, but anyways, to do it with a few of us where we could, say, cook a meal, get together, have some wine, something like that, and shoot the shit. I think that would be fantastic. It sounds like it takes, and really any time with multiple guests, even with co-hosts, even with my own mind sometimes, it's difficult not to get jumbled and sort of bounce around and talk over each other. But at the heart of it, check out Dining with D and K. That was a really cool one. I'm going to go back to my notes here and see if I can come up with a few more things to discuss on this one. I've kind of done Movie of the Week. This Week in Sports. You know what's crazy about This Week in Sports? I've watched 2, that is one more than one, twice as many as one, NBA basketball games this week. I know. Calm down. I'm sorry if you just shit your pants or peed yourself. If you're having an asthma attack, please get your inhaler, call 911, whatever you need. If you are allergic to me liking basketball, then just call the ambulance. 911 would be fantastic. I don't even know if you have to press send after you dial 911. Maybe you do. I've never tried it. But just in case, press send afterwards. Please get help for yourself. I'm trying to tell you, I think I might like basketball now. I have no desire to play it. It's the one sport that I just seem to be fucking terrible at. But I have had a fantastic time watching a couple of Raptors games. And it all started because Ash and Brad were in Toronto this past week We'll get into that next time we record an episode with Ashley, but they had a little bit of travel trouble, you might say. Huh? Travel trouble? That's a cool way to say it. But they did get to catch the Raptors game. It was the Raptors versus Brooklyn Nets, which doesn't matter to me whatsoever. But it was an absolutely fucking phenomenal sports game. And I'm saying sports game because I don't know if it was a great basketball game per se, but it was a wonderful sporting event to watch. Very exciting, obviously high scoring, that's how basketball tends to be, but very back and forth. One team would control it for a little while, the other would control it. The Raptors ended up winning, which makes me happy because I have no reason to cheer for any United States teams, and we only have one Canadian team, so fuck, I might as well cheer for them to win. Basically, the win helped. The win helped a whole bunch, because if they had not won, I probably wouldn't be saying that I enjoyed it as much as I did. Anyways, then come a few days later, I'm thinking, oh, what am I going to do tonight? Lauren was out at a breastfeeding class of all things, and I thought, hey, why not throw on the basketball game? And again, absolutely phenomenal. A couple of the big names were out. They had to bring in a couple other guys and, hey, step it up, boys, and they did. Jesus Christ, fast, throwing threes like crazy. I don't really give a rat shit about dunks. That doesn't seem overly hard to me. But, good, I'd say good athletic plays. It was very, very exciting. So I might be a convert. When it comes to watching stupid fucking professional hockey players just punch each other in the goddamn face every time they're around the net and somehow not get penalties from it, to watching a basketball game where their penalties actually make sense. Sounds like maybe they're going through a little bit of a rule shift right now, like a few sports are. Players are trying to get used to the calls, refs are trying to get used to making the calls. But generally, a much more, I think, fairly refereed game than hockey is. Thus, for me, it's easier to watch. I enjoy that. I enjoy the calls getting made, players not being little bitches about it, getting up in the ref's face, not getting in each other's faces. You don't see a guy, take a reasonably hard hit near the rim and get up and just pummel some dude, into the back of the net. There's the padded portion that's holding the net up. They don't just go and throw their forearm into the guy's throat and hold him there until the ref pulls him off. I can't stand that stuff about hockey right now. So basketball doesn't have any of that, or much less of it, which I like. That makes for a better sport. It's much more free-flowing. There isn't a whole bunch of bullshit with it. There were some bullshit calls, I will admit, but hey, refs aren't perfect. They don't do video replay on every single thing, so be it. We're going to have to deal with some bullshit calls, but much less than hockey. So that made me happy, finding a new sport that I can just kind of throw on and watch here and there. Music recommendations. There's a band called The Bronx, Bronx. I know I've seen them in concert once or twice. I think I got used to them from a song called, I believe it's called Youth Wasted. I'm going to pull this up, being that I always have Google ready for me. Let's see, Youth Wasted by The Bronx. I think you'll have to check it out on YouTube. I don't see anything on Google Play Music. It's odd. I don't really even see it on an album, which I find kind of weird. Don't remember if maybe it was in a video game, whatever it was, but check out Youth Wasted by The Bronx. If you go to the videos section, you'll find the official music video, that sort of thing. Great song. I find it very catchy in a good way. I can't tell you exactly what the message is. I've listened to it a few times lately, and I really enjoyed it. If I had to pick one of their albums that I would love for everybody to listen to, I'm going to pull it up again. Thank you, Google Play Music. The Bronx. I'm trying to remember. Their albums are basically by number, right? So it's kind of like Led Zeppelin 1, that sort of thing. The Bronx 2. Check out The Bronx 2. Has some really cool songs on it. Shitty Future is a good song. There's a few things. There's some names on here I don't like. Rape Zombie? What the fuck is that? Anyways, there's some really neat things in there. I think a lot of people would like them. There's a little bit more screaming in that than some people enjoy, but get over it, people. Sometimes that's in music. Deal with it. You can enjoy it for what it is. How about that? Everyone's been angry at some point. Just play into it. Another one I listened to today was Cancer Bats. Odd name, I will admit that, but Cancer Bats, Canadian metal band, or this says hardcore punk band. I don't know. I don't like all the little details into genres and that. But take a listen to a couple of the things. They did a cover of Sabotage by the Beastie Boys that I think is phenomenal. It doesn't change the song too much, but it definitely makes it their own. If you like something fairly heavy, listen to Hail Destroyer. I think their album Bears, Mayors, Scraps, and Bones is a cool album. Again, this might just be music that I like, but hey, it's my goddamn podcast, so I'm gonna recommend music that I like. And then lastly, I'm trying to remember what I was listening to the other day. You know what I was listening to? This is gonna be an out there one. Check out the Everly Brothers, and I'm gonna type this out so I get it properly. So Everly, Everly Brothers, the Everly Brothers. And I'm trying to pull up a song. This is the stuff that I grew up on, right? It's all the stuff that my parents listened to, so I thus listened to. Check out one. This is an old one, an oldie but a goodie, everybody. Wake Up Little Susie. Silly song, old. I kind of want to find out. I kind of want to find out when this was made. Wake up, little Susie. Oh, looks like it was also done by Simon and Garfunkel. Anyways, 1982. That's not right. Son of a bitch, come on. Wake up. This is great podcasting right here. I am so glad all of you get to listen to me type into my phone and talk about it as I do it. Wake up. Why does it come up with Simon and fucking Garfunkel? Jesus Christ. It's the Everly Brothers, you fucking Everly Brothers. Okay, here we go. Wake Up Little Susie, Everly Brothers. Little song. 1958. I was going to say the 60s. Wow, that really is not exactly the generation that I thought it would be. I hope everyone can appreciate how low and quiet my voice got while I talked about this. The Everly Brothers, they look like funny little dudes. I think they made some great songs. They're just like really, they're the type of thing this is where rock started, right? This is where the music that we know today, and you know what? In some ways, this is where like the Biebers and that stuff started. And I'm not condoning Bieber, but I've got a topic for after this. But I'm not condoning Bieber, but I'm saying that he came from somewhere, and sometimes you can appreciate that. This is why pop stars are what they are, right? Wake Up Little Susie by the Everly Brothers. Listen to that and just think, this is where music today came from. Okay, so here's what I'm going to talk about. I'm sitting at work, and somehow Nickelback came up. Now, I try not to talk about Nickelback because it just fucking upsets me. But people just insist on defending them, and I don't understand it. So I'm going to pull up Nickelback Grammys. See if I can find out how many they've won. It's an absolutely insane amount of things that they've won. I don't know, whatever it is. Do you know how this all started? There's a clip. What was it? I think it was like a sneak trailer or something for Deadpool, whatever they did. So they took Deadpool or Deadpool 2, I can't remember, and made like a little, I think it was a PG-13 version of it or something of the sort, but they kind of snipped and added and took away, and they basically cleaned it up. And they were advertising for that, and they had Deadpool chatting with Fred Savage, and Deadpool was defending Nickelback. And it's funny because in Canada that makes sense. I don't know if that played anywhere else in the world because I don't know how much the rest of the world really understand something like Nickelback, but maybe they do. Again, I try not to pay attention to Nickelback because they're fucking... excuse me, I'm getting worked up and choking myself. They're fucking shit. It's absolute terrible music. It's like the lowest of the low music. But because they've been successful, people constantly, and these were the people at work, constantly tell me how good they are. That, monetary success in, say, album sales or award success somehow means that there is legitimacy and quality to what people do. I don't believe that. And just think of the industry that I come from. I come from the fitness industry, from the health industry. So I've got, Jillian Michaels and the fucking Rock out there trying to tell people about fitness. For one, she's a celebrity trainer. She just no, people. No. Stop. No. The Rock is on fucking steroids. It's completely obvious. And if he isn't, he is an unattainable person. If he's clean somehow, he is the rare exception. He is the guy who smokes and drinks every day of his life into absolute oblivion and lives to 115 years old. Never exercises, that sort of thing. On the exact opposite end is The Rock, if he's somehow clean. These are not the people that we look up to in the industry, or I hope the fuck people don't look up to. Same thing. There's no substance or anything to Nickelback. They are not a quality band. And it fucking seethingly mad. It drives me nuts. If you like them just because they're flat catchy and there's things you hear on the radio, fine. That's fine. That's you. But if you're someone that's looking for actual substance quality to the things that you listen to, that is not good. I don't care how many awards they have, and maybe bought. That's sometimes how award shows work, people. Even if they are successful in the public eye, that doesn't mean they're good. Great example. Maroon 5 goes to play the Super Bowl. They are a popular band. They have sold records. They have sold singles. They have downloads. They have merchandise. They're on the radio all the time. But people went apeshit about the Super Bowl because I think there are a lot of people out there who do want some sort of quality and depth. Okay? I saw something really interesting about Greta Van Fleet today, and they were saying in the past, I don't know, decade, couple of decades, whatever time frame, they were saying rock music and pop music basically use the same 4 chords all the time. Now, I'm not a music connoisseur when it comes to chords and that, but that sounds pretty generic to me. So they're saying that, a band steps out and does something, realistically, that's been done before. They sound exactly like Led Zeppelin, but they're willing to step out of the mold of today, and people are still giving them shit because they sound like Led Zeppelin. You know what? It's not easy to fucking sound like Led Zeppelin. You know what it is easy to sound like? Fucking Nickelback, because every one of their goddamn songs is the same thing. And this is the decrease in quality that I'm talking about, and people that are backing someone like Greta Van Fleet, and people who are bullshitting on the halftime show of Maroon 5, we're saying we want quality. We want something deeper. We want something intrinsically better, not extrinsically better. Monetary doesn't matter. Humongous biceps on The Rock don't matter. We want something with some depth to it, right? We want a fitness coach that has unique, different ideas or can actually individualize something for the person rather than go lift weights, lift them really hard, you'll look like The Rock. No, you fucking won't look like The Rock. God damn it. So what I was talking about there was I don't like Nickelback, and I do like music other than Nickelback. Check out the Everly Brothers. That's where quality started. Even if it's not the best quality you've ever heard, and the most phenomenal chords and that kind of thing, consider that there was nothing before that to compare to. these people that, in some ways the Beatles, I'm thinking Everly Brothers, I'm definitely thinking, say, Johnny Cash, they made what we listen to now. Okay, they were the pioneers of that. They went from something, or they brought something out of nothing. Maybe took pieces from the blues, took pieces from jazz, took pieces from a whole bunch of different things, and molded into rock, and which sadly became today's crappy fucking pop shit. But that's how that came about. And I'm going to completely switch topics on a dime here and say that Saturday Night Live has been much better lately. I really appreciate that. The last couple of weeks have actually been really, really good. The reason I brought that up is because they had Halsey on as a musical guest, as well as the host. And quite frankly, I didn't like her music. I didn't like her performances. I thought, I said to Ashley, I would try to pull it up, but I think we have quite the text string since then. I basically said, I think Halsey might just be Pink. Like, if you look them up, they're nearly identical. It's very strange, actually. And especially during her performances on Saturday Night Live, I was like, Halsey? Pink? Same person? Interesting. Maybe different makeup artist? Same person, different makeup? I'm not sure. Anyways, her acting performance, the comedy that came out of that episode, was fantastic. The music that came out of that episode, as with a lot of episodes, I just skipped through it. I don't need to hear that crap. I just want to get back to the funny. I appreciate the funny. Thank you, Saturday Night Live, for having a few good episodes in a row. One thing I didn't like this time was they really, really went into different characters on Weekend Update. Weekend Update is funny in itself. I don't need... It was like a Instagram boyfriend girlfriend that put up too many lovey-dovey pictures. That wasn't funny. I didn't see how that applied to Weekend Update. The guy who just bought a boat, that was fairly funny and actually somewhat tied into Weekend Update. Or maybe I'm just being picky because that was funny and the Instagram people were not funny and also really ended up having nothing to do with Instagram. I don't know. That's a complete side note. Thank you, SNL, for actually being relatively funny in the last little while. I think I'm pretty much going to end it here. I made it to a half hour by myself. I've now got a dog that I need to go discipline. Get off! Good Lord! And now the doggy discipline's done, so I'm just going to try to finish off here nicely, close my Nickelback tab, and see if there's one last thing that I need to hit. I don't think so. I think I really, really nailed it. This was a good episode. Like, the one thing that you get from me on solo episodes is a hell of a rant. Like, just a really solid half hour worth of a rant. And sometimes you get to listen to me just type things into my phone and ask Google questions. Thanks for listening. Imperfect Image would be nothing without its listeners. It would simply be me, and sometimes me and a guest, and sometimes me and Ashley talking into a microphone. Thank you for listening. If you want to send us feedback, imperfectimagepod@gmail.com. I would love to hear something, as long as it's not you trying to defend Nickelback. We will talk to you next time. Thank you again for listening.